The Eurocopter EC725 Caracal is a long-range tactical transport helicopter developed from the Super Puma Cougar family for military use. It is a twin-engined aircraft and can carry up to 29 seated troops along with 2 crew, depending on customer configuration. The helicopter is marketed for troop transport, casualty evacuation, and combat search and rescue duties, and is similar to the civilian EC225. Development. The EC725 was developed to meet a French Air Force requirement for a specialist helicopter for combat search and rescue operations. The AS532A2 Cougar model was examined and rejected for this purpose following extensive trials between 1996 and 1999. The primary improvements desired by the French Air Force were more powerful engines, greater flight endurance and improved combat durability. Eurocopter opted to pursue development of a more ambitious derivative of the AS532 to meet this need, which was later designated as the EC725. The EC725 was initially named Cougar Mk2 due to treaty reasons. The new aircraft also featured new mission equipment and autonomous avionics, along with other changes to meet the French specification. On November 27, 2000, the first EC725 prototype performed its maiden flight at Marignan, and on January 15, 2001, the first public presentation of the new helicopter took place. In concurrent development of the military-orientated EC725, Eurocopter also developed a civil-orientated counterpart, which was designated as the EC225. The French Air Force subsequently ordered an initial 6 EC725s to perform the combat search and rescue mission. The first of these was delivered in February 2005. A follow-on order for 8 more EC725s was placed for the French Armed Forces in November 2002. A total fleet of 20 EC725s in French service was envisioned in 2004. By 2015, the EC725, since redesignated as the H225M, was being manufactured on 2 separate production lines in France and Brazil, while a third assembly line for the type was being planned in Poland. In July 2015, Airbus Helicopters announced that it was considering setting up a 4th assembly line in India if the firm was successful at winning an Indian tender for naval helicopters. Design. The EC725 is based on the Eurocopter AS532 Cougar, improving upon the design with a 5-blade composite main rotor incorporating a new airfoil shape to reduce vibration levels. The helicopter can be fitted with removable armor plating to protect the troops and is powered by 2 turbo Mecha Makilla 1A4 turboshaft engines mounted over the cabin, which feature a dual-channel full-authority digital engine control system. They can be fitted with an anti-icing system to enable the aircraft to operate in very cold climates. Other improvements include a reinforced main rotor gearbox and an all-glass cockpit. The cockpit is equipped with an integrated display system featuring a digital map and active matrix liquid crystal displays. The helicopter has day and nighttime search and rescue capabilities by way of a search radar and forward-looking infrared. These allow the EC725 to be flown under visual meteorological and instrument flight rules conditions. The EC725 can be equipped with various military equipment and armaments, such as a pair of 7.62 mm FN mag machine guns mounted within forward left and right windows, or a pair of 68 mm Thales Brandt or Forges de Zeebrugge side-mounted rocket launchers, each with 19 rockets, or the MU-90 Impact Aerial Launch Torpedo. Brazilian EC725s are equipped with a Helibras-built countermeasures suite, which includes chaff and flares to confuse radar and heat-guided missiles respectively. Thales has also produced self-protection systems to equip French EC725s. Eurocopter developed 4 primacy cabin configurations for the type. The troop transport version contains a seating arrangement for a maximum of 29 troops, in addition to the crew. A dedicated VIP transport version is designed to contain between 8 to 12 passengers. The casualty evacuation version can carry up to 12 stretchers along with a total of 4 seated medical staff. The Combat SAR configuration is fully equipped to perform search and rescue duties in a combat environment. According to Airbus helicopters, the H-225M is capable of undertaking various mission roles including combat search and rescue, long-range tactical transport, aeromedical transport, logistic support and shipboard maritime operations. Operational history: less than 6 weeks after formally entering service, 3 French Air Force EC725s were dispatched to Cyprus to evacuate civilians from Lebanon during OPA copyright ration ballast in the summer of 2006. In December 2006, the French Air Force began deploying EC725s to the war in Afghanistan to support the coalition forces operating in region. EC725s in the Afghan theater were based at Kabul International Airport. In 2013, French EC735s were receiving several upgrades. These include a new SAGEM forward-looking infrared sensor, new door-mounted Nixtel-built machine guns, FADEC changes for low-temperature operations, and reduced maintenance requirements. In 2008, the Brazilian government announced that the Helibras factory in Itajuba, Minas Gerais, will produce an initial 50 EC725s under a $1 billion order. These 50 helicopters are to be used by the Brazilian Navy, the Brazilian Air Force and Brazilian Army Aviation Command. By December 2010, 3 helicopters were undergoing flight tests prior to entering military service. In 2012, Helibras began assembly of the rest of the order. In April 2014, Helibras and MBDA were in the process of integrating the anti-ship Exocet missile, which are also 50% built in Brazil. On June 19, 2014, the Brazilian Navy formally accepted delivery of the first EC725. By July 2015, the Brazilian Armed Forces had taken delivery of 16 hours 225 milliseconds. Deliveries were reported at the time to continue until 2019. By October 1, 2015, Brazil's H-225M fleet had attained 10,000 flight hours. In March 2009, Mexico became the second export customer for the type when the Secretariat of National Defense placed an order for 6 armed EC-725s for civil security and transport missions. A second batch of 6 was ordered in September 2010. On April 30, 2015, a Mexican Air Force EC-725 made an emergency landing after the tail rotor was struck by a rocket-propelled grenade, killing 6 soldiers and wounding 12. While engaged in Operation Jalisco, a coordinated multi-force action to combat the Jalisco New Generation cartel in both Jalisco and Colima. In May 2015, Mexico was reportedly in the process of negotiating the purchase of an additional 50 H-225Ms. In April 2009, Malaysia placed an order for 12 EC-725s in a search and rescue configuration to replace the aging Sikorsky Sh-3 Sea King fleet. In 2014, following Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 going missing, the Royal Malaysian Air Force deployed their EC-725s was deployed to search the plane along C-130s around the South China Sea and Strait of Malacca. Following the 2015 Sabah earthquake, several Royal Malaysia Air Force EC-725s were dispatched to Labuan Rata in Mount Kinabalu to rescue stranded climbers and retrieve the deceased. In November 2014, the Indonesian Air Force took delivery of the first of 6 EC-725s for combat search and rescue operations. Indonesian Aerospace performs the maintenance, repair and overhaul activities upon Indonesia's EC-725 fleet. The firm also supplied the tail booms and airframe assemblies for EC-225s and EC-725s worldwide. The first locally assembled main fuselage assembly was delivered in November 2013. On April 21, 2015, Poland announced that the H-225M Caracal had been awarded as the sole winner of an order for 50 units. These are to replace their tri-service fleet of MiL-Me-8 and MiL-Me-14. If signed, the contract will consist of 16 transport, 13 CSAR, 8 ASW, 8 SOS and 5 Medevac helicopters that shall be assembled in Poland. In May 2015, the H-225M passed state trials held in 33rd Air Base over the course of 2 weeks. In October 2015, Poland's Armament Inspectorate reported that the total procurement cost for the deal would be roughly 13.3 billion Polish zloty, 40% of which shall be for training and logistical support. In June 2015, it was revealed that Kuwait was negotiating to acquire up to 24 EC725 Caracals for the Kuwait Air Force. The EC725 has been submitted to the Indian Navy's Naval Multi-Role Helicopter Competition, seeking 120 helicopters to replace its aging Westland Sea King fleet. In October 2015, Indian authorities were holding discussions to finalize a deal for 14 hours Tu-25s for the Indian Coast Guard. Media reports note that Airbus was in the lead to win the contract, having made a lower financial bid than rival Sikorsky for their S-92. The submitted bid complies with a 30% offset clause, requiring Airbus to invest Rs-600 crore of the Rs-2000 crore bid in India's defence and aerospace manufacturing sector. Operators: Brazil, Brazilian Air Force, Brazilian Army, Brazilian Navy, France, French Air Force, French Army, Indonesia, Indonesian Air Force, Kazakhstan, Kazakhstan Air Force, Malaysia, Royal Malaysian Air Force, Mexico, Mexican Air Force, Mexican Navy, Thailand, Royal Thai Air Force. Specifications. Data from Eurocopter.com, General Characteristics, Crew, 1 or 2, Capacity, 1 Chief of Stick plus 28 troops or 5,670 kilograms Payload, Length, 19.5 meters, Height, 4.6 m, Empty weight, 5,330 kilograms, Gross weight, 11,000 kilograms, Max takeoff weight, 11,200 kilograms, Power plant, 2A, Tobuma copyright Karmakilla 2A1 turboshaft engines, 1,776 kilowatts each, main rotor diameter, 16.20 m, main rotor area, 206.1 m2, performance, maximum speed, 324 km per hour in level flight, cruising speed, 285 km per hour, never exceed speed, 324 km per hour, range, 857 km, ferry range, 1,325 km, service ceiling, 6,095 m, rate of climb, 7.4 meters per second. See also: Related development, or copyright Super Puma, Eurocopter Super Puma, Eurocopter EC725, Eurocopter AS532 Cougar, Kai Kuh-1 Surian, aircraft of comparable role, configuration and era, Sikorsky S-92, Eggerstorsland AW101, Eggerstorsland AW149, MIL-Me-38, and Industries NH-90, Sikorsky MH-60 Usahawk. Related lists, list of helicopters, utility aircraft. References. External links, Airbus H225M product page, Air Force Technology Eurocopter EC725 Cougar, skycontrol.net Eurocopter EC725.